Happy Wednesday, guys. So, our conversation last week struck a lot of chords. It was interesting to see a lot of the commenting. So, last week we were talking about the rates of depression in women and how so many women are feeling lonely, isolated, depressed, struggling with anxiety, the mental health issues that we have going on. And then we touched upon that part of that loneliness, a part of the depression and the anxiety and the loneliness all being connected, and what we can do to not feel so lonely. And it's interesting. I posted a video. I went to a girl's day out over the weekend, and I posted a video on TikTok, and it basically said the stats of. It says that, and actually, I'll tell you guys what it says. Let me pull it up. Here's the stat for it. Um, it says researchers find that women need a girls' night out or like some kind of social gathering with friends approximately every 22 days in order to maintain mental well-being, reduce stress, and feel emotionally recharged. And this video's gotten like 70,000 plus views, right? And what's wild is some of the comments. So one guy was like, it must have been single women who were the researchers. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So only single women get to go out. I had a lot of people comment like, no, drama. Like I like stay away from that, women are drama. I had a lot of people comment, which was sad, like I have no friends, which is what we've been talking about, right? And then a lot of people being like, hell yes, yes, I need this. So I think this is an interesting topic because, one of my like soapboxes, if I was to have one, is on resilience. In being resilient, in your ability to bounce back when life is hard. It's the number one skill I think that we need as humans. It's the number one skill I think we need to pass on to our children. I also believe it's the number one skill lacking in today's world, at least here in America, that we've lost our ability to be resilient. We've lost our ability to get knocked down and trust that we can pick ourselves back up. And I saw this a lot during the pandemic. I feel like I'm going to sneeze because okay, I'm a three sneezer. Tell me in the comments, are you a two sneezer or a three sneezer? Who can sneeze just once? Is there anybody who can do that, who can sneeze just once? I'm a three sneezer. Anyway, I saw this a lot during the pandemic because people who had never really had to use that muscle, use that resiliency muscle, could not cope, right? And those of us, unfortunately, who've had a lot of experience building that muscle up, coped better. I mean, that's just the reality. We were able to fare better because we had used that muscle a lot, you know? And and we've created a world where we don't want our children to, it's not that we don't want them to be resilient, it's that we don't want them to have to go through what it takes to be resilient. To be resilient, you have to get hurt. You have to get knocked down. You have to get a little dirty. You have to get a little, you have to go through a little bit of pain in order to learn, hey, I can get through that and I can pick myself back up, right? And I get that. I'm a parent. I don't want my daughter to go through pain, right? Um and and so it's interesting to me to see these different viewpoints. So I'm curious what your viewpoint is on that stat. When you hear that women need, a mental health day. I had one guy say, "Hey, guys need this too." And I said, "I agree. I agree. I think that when we, in our quest of this idea to be so advanced, it's almost like we're moving backwards. I think back, we were created to live in caves, in tribes, in villages where we were really connected with people. And this is one of the reasons we have mirror neurons. So if you don't know this, the neurons in your brain will rewire and match the people that you're around. And this is why we know as parents, it's really important. The kid, the social group, the friends that our children hang out with have a bigger influence on them than we do. Like they get to a certain age where their friends are going to have a more of an influence than we will as a parent. And we just pray that the influence that we had eventually will supersede that. But we know that you become like the people that you hang around with. I mean, it's a catchphrase, right? Like you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. But that's actually what happens. Like your brain will rewire to match the people that you're with. This is really scary because if you're with people who are complaining, negative Nellies, like guess who you're going to become? Like you can take a look at the 5 people that you spend the most time with. That's who you are. Right? And so this could also really work, for us. If we purposely put ourselves in environments with big thinkers and people talking about goals and dreams and those kind of conversations, guess who you'll become, right? This is one of the advantages that I had when I got into direct sales as a young woman is I got surrounded by women who had a positive mindset, who were setting big goals, who were going after big dreams. That affected how my brain was and wired my brain to think that way, right? Um, and so this is interesting because this is how, well, let's go back to why does our brain do this from an evolutionary standpoint? Why does our brain rewire itself? And it's because if you lived in a cave or you lived in a tribe or you lived in a small village and you really thought way different than everybody else who was there, you could get kicked out. And if you were in a tribe and you got kicked out of your tribe, you really couldn't survive on your own out in the wilderness, right? Like you needed your tribe for survival. And so our brains, from an evolutionary standpoint, said, okay, let's make sure everybody kind of thinks the same way, works the same way, has the same mindset so that you can still be accepted in your tribe to stay here for your own survival. So that's why it is. It's an evolutionary trait. In today's world, that can work for us or that can work really against us, right? And so I think when I think about that, I think about the fact that we were really meant to be so connected. And now we're so it's like we're disconnected, but we're not. We're with people at work. Maybe I'm not. I work at home, but you might be with people at work, or you're with people through. You're running back and forth to errands, and you're taking kids to this sporting event and this dance class and this PTA thing, and so you're surrounded by people. But are you really connecting with people? Are we really having meaningful conversations? Are we really doing life with each other? And I would venture to say no, not because we don't want to. We're just so busy in our day-to-day stuff. We're just so busy in doing all the things that we have to do, that we've said we would do, that we feel like we have to do, right? And so I would say it really does take energy to make time for those friendships, for those relationships. How many of you, and come on, if you guys are friends with me, we're guilty of this. Like I will call my best friend and I know she does the same thing to me when we're driving and we're in the car because we have that free time and we're like, okay, this is a good time for us to talk, right? It's not when we're sitting down and we're in our comfy chair and we're drinking our comfy drink and we're on the phone and we're chatting. It's like, how can I squeeze this in? I want to talk to you. I want to catch up with you, but how can I squeeze this into my life? And I will tell you that one of the things that I had decided, because I'm hearing from a lot of these comments, people going, I don't have any friends. I had to really work to get out there. I still have to. Okay. I was never able to really recreate the social circle that I had in Colorado here in New Jersey. I for whatever reason was never able to recreate those types of friendships. I don't know if it's a season of life. I don't know if it's a demographic. I don't know what it is, but have struggled to do that. So I make an effort. I actually, when I open up my calendar, my goal is that every week or every 2 weeks, I have some kind of social activity, something to look forward to. Because here's what I have also found, and maybe you guys don't have this. Maybe this is just me. I get bored. And if my week just looks the same week after week, I get bored. And I lose my enthusiasm for life, right? I need something to look forward to. So whether it's we're going to go, to this concert, or we're going to go to this show, or we're going to go do this weekend activity, or I'm going to have this girls' night, or we're going to go to the movies, whatever it is, like I feel like I need something to look forward to. Does anybody else feel that way, or is it just me? Because otherwise I just get bored, because otherwise my weeks can look the same. I work, we have dinner, we have the kids every other night, whatever, like it's just that routine. And I don't know, that doesn't light me up, right? I'm not excited about that. So for people, if you're like, I am struggling, I really don't have that social circle. We talked about this last week, but I go seeing all these comments. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have a choice about that. And this is the part that maybe I find frustrating. I remember growing up, I always was told, you have a choice. You may not like the choices that you have, but you have a choice. And that really struck with me, that I cannot really think of many seasons. There was one season where I felt very, very like I didn't have a lot of choices. But for most of the part, I've grown up and lived my life with the idea that I have choices. They may not be choices that I want to take. They may not be choices that I'm excited about or that I love, but I do have choices. I'm never stuck. Like I mean, let's be real. I'm living in New Jersey right now. If you've had a conversation with me, you know I love to complain. It's terrible. I love to complain about how much I hate living in New Jersey and I just want to live someplace warm and I just want to be in around a palm tree. But let's be real. I have a choice. I choose to stay here. I choose to stay here to be with my partner. I choose to stay here to be with my daughter. I don't want to leave her and be in another state. Like I'm still choosing to be here. So even though I love to like lament, oh, I just want to be in the warm weather with my palm tree. I'm not stuck here. Like I could go someplace else. I'm not handcuffed to my chair. It's the things that are in New Jersey are so important to me that I'm making the choice to stay here. But I still have a choice. If you hate your job, you can be like, I have no choice. I have to work this job. Well, you do. You could be unemployed. You have a choice. Now, that might not be a choice that you want, but you have a choice, right? And that's true on everything, right? Like we have choices. They just often those are choices where like, well, I don't really want that choice. I'll just stay with this one. And then sometimes it actually makes it easier. Like sometimes it makes it easier to be like, well, I'm in New Jersey and I am staying here, but I'm choosing to be here. I mean, I don't have to be, but I'm choosing to be here. Right? So if you're like, I have no friends and I feel lonely, you have a choice. You have a choice. You can go like we talked last week, you can go volunteer. You can join a Bible study. You can get involved in a church. You can join a meetup group. You can start your own meetup group. We talked about joining a direct sales business where you're going to be connected with other women and get into a community. There are places that you can go and find people. Here's the thing. It's uncomfortable. Right? As women, we are not wired to do things alone. We're usually wired to do things together. I always use the example that if we all went out to dinner, well, here's a couple of examples. Number one, most people don't go buy a wedding dress by themselves, right? They go bring everybody with them to be like, let's go buy this together, right? Similarly, if we were at dinner and we were at dinner together, even if I didn't know you, right? And I had to go to the restroom, I would probably say, hey, do you have to go to the restroom too? Like we would go together. We don't even know each other, right? That's how we are as women. We do things together. So I get that it's super uncomfortable to go to an event by yourself and not know anybody. I'll give you an example. The one that happened to me when I moved into this new town and I was like, all right, I'm going to go and find some people. I found this meetup and it was a dinner. It was a women's meetup and it was dinner at this local restaurant and it was close to me. So I thought, well, this will be great. So I RSVP for the meetup and I'm like, okay. And I don't like to go to stuff and I'm pretty outgoing and I still don't like to go to stuff by myself, but I'm like, I need to meet people. I'm in this new area. I'm isolated. I need to meet people. I show up and I must have misunderstood what I was RSVPing for because it was, so I live in New Jersey and the area that I live in has one of the highest Indian populations in the country. I walk in and it was a meetup for women from India who had moved here and me. I mean, clearly I'm the whitest girl you could have, right? And they all look at me and I look at them and I'm like, am I in the right place? But they were so nice. They were like, yeah, come hang out with me. And that was how I ended up making this group of friends that were all these wonderful Indian women. And most of them were like from India and me. I mean, it was like, they were like, where did this girl come from? Right. And they were also welcoming and so nice. And I will say, I have learned quite a lot about Indian culture and food and everything from this wonderful group of women. And I used to hang out with them quite a bit, actually. And so you just never know where those relationships are going to lead or where that door is going to open. And maybe it wasn't ideal, right? Like maybe they were a little bit like, why is this girl here? But they were welcoming and I needed to meet people and they were lovely women, right? And so just show up. I think that's part of it. I think we're just so unwilling to step out of our comfort zone. It's so much easier to stay in our comfort zone and complain about what we don't have than step out of our comfort zone to go get what we want. I mean, I see this all the time, right? So I see this either there's two ways that people can work with me in business. So either they have a business that they're trying to build, and then they work with me within the Hey Girl You Can community. And this is where they can get support and mentorship. Right now we're doing our CEO clarity where we're going through like, how do you set up your business? So last week, all the training was like the 3 stages of business. How do you know what stage you're in? How do you determine success in that stage? So if you have a business, Hey Girl You Can is really where you want to connect with me. If you don't have a business and you're looking for an opportunity and you're like, I'd like to have a business, I'd like to have a way to make some money from home, then connect with me and we can talk about my team and what we do. And maybe that's a great place for you. And if not, maybe I can give you some suggestions of, other places that might be good for you. Um, but that's really kind of like where I work with people, right? And I forgot where I got on a tangent on that. Um, that we have to do things that are uncomfortable. And so I see this, like I see this with women who are looking at, a business opportunity, and they're complaining about that. They don't like their job. They don't like their life. They don't have enough money. They don't have enough freedom. They don't have enough, flexibility, like all these things. But then when they're given an opportunity, like, well, hey, why don't you try this? They're like, no, I can't do that. And they come up with all the reasons why they can't do that. And it's just wild to me. And so what happens is then we end up just being same and stuck in that situation. And I have sometimes, guys, I have to do this kind of like self-coaching to myself. I had been really down that negative hole of I'm in New Jersey and I wasn't planning on being here. When I moved back, my plan was to move when my daughter went to college, and then she went to college in New Jersey, and this isn't what I want, blah, 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 right? And so then I had to kind of go, okay, well, I have a choice. I can stay or leave. I'm choosing to stay. So how can I make this work? So one of the things is looking at like, okay, well, can, we get a place in Florida that I could go down to on a regular basis? I've even looked at doing some like, where I have friends who do this, like where you do a house sitting for people as a way to be able to go there if I don't have a place, looking at like, well, what are my other options? What can I do? How can I make this work? Right. So that's where our brains need to be. And that's a learned skill, I think, of thinking like, okay, well, how can I make this work? What are my options here? And then being willing to do something that maybe feels really uncomfortable. That really is a step out of your comfort zone, particularly if you're complaining about your comfort zone. I mean, if you're complaining about how much miserable you are and how you don't have any friends or you don't have enough money or whatever it is that we're complaining about, right? You got to be willing to step out of that comfort zone to get the thing that you want. Like, it's not going to happen here. If you're in a job that you have no flexibility and you're paycheck to paycheck and you're miserable, you can't stay here. Nothing's going to change here, right? Like, we all get that, right? Like, we know this, but it's funny how we know this, but then we can't take action on it. In order to be here, you've got to do something different, which is going to mean you have to step out of that, step into an uncomfortable place so that you can find the different, right? And this is with all these people who are commenting on TikTok. I have no friends and I feel lonely. Well, then you have to do something different. You like that's just how that works. And the different feels scary. But what I remember a mentor early on in my business, she used this phrase all the time, and I would hear it, but it didn't make sense to me until one day it did. She had a phrase and she would say, you will stay the same until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. And I never understood that phrase. I could repeat it, but I didn't really get it until one day I got it. And I was like, huh. So you're going to stay the same. We're going to continue doing what we're doing, following the same routine, complaining about the same stuff until the pain of being here is bigger than the pain that it's going to take to change. Because change is painful. As humans, we crave familiarity. Is that a word? We crave, the comfort. We're wired to move away from pain and towards pleasure, right? And that doesn't always serve us, but we crave that. And so as long as we're in this situation, if it's still comfortable enough, I'm not going to really do anything to change it. It's only when it becomes so uncomfortable, so unbearable, that we're willing to do something that's maybe a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit unbearable, a little bit out of our comfort zone. And we see this. Sometimes I have to say to myself, well, Tara, like, what's the rock bottom for you? How bad does it need to get before you're going to make a change? And this is great. You can apply this to anything. Think about whatever you're complaining about right now. And ask yourself, how bad does it need to get before I'm willing to make a change? It might surprise you. Sometimes surprises me, right? So what I want to leave you with today is that you do have a choice. You are never stuck. You are never stuck. And even during the hardest seasons of your life, I remember being in the midst of my domestic violence divorce and in the midst of Emily's cancer and just feeling like my whole world was crumbling around me. And also feeling like this will be like this forever. Like, I felt like that season and the conflict that I was having with her father and the restraining orders and the court and the cops at my house all the time. Like, it just felt like this will be the rest of my life for 18 years. And at the time, I do remember thinking to myself, well, eventually she was like, 2 or 3 at the time. I do remember thinking like, well, eventually she'll be 18. I mean, eventually it will end, right? So even then I could see eventually there will be an end to this. It might be 18 years from now, but there will eventually be an end. And it wasn't 18 years. It was 6 years, but it was a long time. It was 6 years, but there was eventually an end. And life has seasons and nothing is permanent and things change. And where you are now does not need to be where you are from 5 years from now. And that you have the power and the choice to change. You have the power. You have the choice. You do not need to settle. And that's going to feel scary. And that might feel like you're venturing into the unknown, but you can. And you can. And we only get one shot, one life to live. As I'm getting older, this is becoming more apparent to me. Like, this is it, Tara. This is my only one shot. What am I doing with it? The pain of regret. There's a saying, the pain of regret is far greater than the pain of failure. Go for it. Go for it. If you fail, you went for it. That pain will be less than the pain of regret, of never going for it. So I am curious. Tell me in the comments, what are you going to go for? What do you want to change? What in your situation are you like, okay, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of complaining about this. I'm going to make a difference this time. I'm going to change something this time. Like, I'm here to cheer you on. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm going to cheer you on because I believe that you can. I believe that you can. And again, if you have a business and you need support and you need somebody who's actually been there, done that, like this month I celebrate my 28th year in business. I have been there. I've done that. I've walked the trenches. I am not somebody who's going to teach you theory. I am going to teach you from real life, lived experience of building a business in every season of life, from being single to engaged, newly married, pregnant with a baby, all of that, going through a divorce, going through my daughter's cancer, moving across the country. Like, I have that lived experience that you will learn from. So come find me, and hey girl, you can join our community. Let's work together. I've got the resources there to support you in your business. You do not need to do your business alone. If you do not have a business and you know that maybe extra income could be what changes things for you, if you know having a community, a team, a support could be what changes for you, and you're looking for an opportunity, send me a DM. Like, let's chat. It doesn't mean that it will be the right thing, but let's chat. I can tell you about my team, my community, and if nothing else, I can at least guide you with questions to be asking if you're looking for an opportunity. Because let me tell you, when I started my business, I didn't know any of the questions to ask. I just kind of fell into it. I was very lucky. I fell into a really good business, but I just fell into it. Let's be real. I didn't know the questions to ask. It took me a long time to learn the questions to ask. But let's chat. Let's see, because we've got a great group, and maybe this could be the answer for what you're looking for. So I'm excited to hear from you. I'm excited to see your comments, and I will see you on Friday, same time, for Live with Tara. Bye, guys.